I think might be all are not joined it. So just, I mean, I'll ask. If it is
Yeah, yeah,
big, then we'll discuss.
go on with
Okay.
your question. Yes.
Yeah. So, in case of S4,
Mm-hmm.
basically S4 on-premise itself, SAP not recommended to use BDCs.
Not recommending to use.
BDC, because few transactions in SAP we don't have a BAPIs or function modules, so
Okay.
we normally create BDCs. So
Hmm.
and yesterday you said like GUI is not supported for cloud. So and BDC definitely won't work if it doesn't support GUI.
Hmm.
So that is one question, like how we are going to handle if there is no BAPI or function model available in the system.
Okay, first let's answer this. Tell me what is the purpose of BDC or BAPI?
To create any document, suppose if you take example of FB01 in SAP,
Mm-hmm.
whereas FB01 is not any transaction, and we have BAPI, but few scenarios it will be difficult to use the BAPI.
Okay, again I repeat my question. What is the purpose of BDC or BAPI? I'm not asking
The
what
purpose
to
is
use,
to,
what to not use. What is the purpose? Why we use
yeah,
them?
purpose is to like one thing is automate the process. Second thing is like to
No,
create some.
no. Automation is not the way. You are not doing testing using BDC. For that you
No,
have
no,
Selenium. For that you have something called ECATs for doing automation.
yes,
Automation is the
yes.
wrong word here.
So create a document. You can say create a specific document in SAP or create some master data in SAP
Why? Why do you need to do that?
to mass upload. You can say mass transactions.
Exactly. The purpose of BDC is to mass upload. Correct?
Yes.
Now, why do you need to mass upload data to SAP S4 HANA Cloud?
Especially it will happen at the time of suppose client is going for SAP for the first time, or suppose they want some they acquire some new company, or
Okay.
they they establish something new where they want a new master data to be uploaded or new documents to be created, or they are migrating some other system to SAP. So that
Correct.
time also they want. So
Very good.
most of these. Yeah.
Now, in S4 HANA Cloud, when you going, your company is going S4 HANA Cloud, what is the default user experience for S4 HANA Cloud?
Mostly theory.
Fiori, which means
Yeah.
everything runs in the browser.
Yes.
So for S4 perspective, when everything runs on the browser, there is literally no access to SAP GUI, which means there has to be something which SAP must be giving for you to exchange the data between S4 Cloud and from your classical data sources. Now, for that, in that context, we have something called upload master data application, which is a Fiori application SAP has provided. I've never used it, to be very frank, in S4 Cloud because I not worked much on S4 Cloud. I know scenarios. One product I worked on S4 Cloud only once project, but not much. There is an application called Manage Cloud Solution. Let me just share my screen now, and then we will start our today's class. Since this question has come, let me start with this question first of all. So here you see this Fiori app reference library, and here you'll find an app called Manage Cloud Solution. Let me just search for that. Manage Cloud Solution app, SAP S4. This application, it comes with a suite of application or suite of services, and in this there is something called data migration cockpit. So you will typically use that data migration cockpit, as you can see here, migrate your data. Can you see this app?
Yes. Yes.
This is what
Yes.
we use when it comes to S4 Cloud, to be very specific.
Okay.
So if you're working on S4 Cloud, you got to probably explore this guy to be able to understand how can you establish a secure connection and move your data from one place to another place. So of course there is nothing like now anymore this option of BDC or BAPI or anything. You cannot even call the BAPI here. Yet there are this is one option. Another option is to use APIs. All the APIs are published on api.sap.com. This technique I've shown in my S4 Cloud course. You can subscribe that, where I've shown how to post the data to S4 Cloud using APIs. SAP is giving you open APIs in S4 Cloud, and using these APIs you can do postings, you can do account assignments, accounting document creation, everything what you need is possible by using these APIs. And that's why you see they are mainly used for integration purpose out here. They are all APIs which SAP is publishing here. You can check on apihub.com. If you want to subscribe and understand how to call an API from SAP Cloud Platform and push the data, you can subscribe my S4 HANA Cloud course with S4 HANA Cloud SDK is covered in this course. So you can subscribe that course to understand. Next question, please. All right, no questions. So let's proceed with today's class. Just switch back to presentation. All right, welcome everyone to the another episode on ABAP on cloud training along with RESTful ABAP programming language. In the last episode, we started discussing about basics of a new syntax, and there was one more syntax which I kind of missed it in the last class, and it's quite important for me to explain you. So let's take a use case why we use this another syntax, and it's called loop at itab group by. Yes, exactly. Loop at itab is also have a group by statement now possible, and that's what we will be learning quickly in this session to begin with, because this statement is used very often again in RESTful ABAP programming language, and if you're not aware of this, then again you may get confused. So why we use group by in this? So basically, let's imagine some data. We go back to system and we go back to the same report of recap new ABAP syntax, and in this, if you see, we have here data. So we have IBM repeating 2 times, Tapla, then Nestle, and my requirement is to calculate total for IBM. Just get me total for IBM amount. Then you get me total for Tapla amount. Then you get me total for Nestle amount. So I want to basically total only the corresponding customers values. So this is what I want to total. So I ideally output which I need is IBM. This IBM has actually this 5000 5000 plus 1800 6800 is what I want, and this guy 44 48 48 plus 5 5300, that's for Tapla. And then finally for Nestle I want this whatever 14,000 15,200. So this is the result I want. I want to basically group the amount based on the customer. Yeah, group the amount based on the customer. This is what the final outcome I want from internal table. Now what is the approach for you in ABAP programming to actually calculate such a total? Typically in classical ABAP we used to use control break functions. So basically we sort this data in ascending order, descending order, whatever, based on customer. So we group it, and because IBM can be anywhere else also, let me take an example. I will add more IBM. Yeah, I'll just add one more IBM, and this IBM can be here also, let's say another value of 2000, and this Nestle can also be here, let's say Nestle, and this value is, let's say 8500. Yeah, so there are multiple possibilities that these values may exist at multiple places, okay, in the system. Now in such cases, how do you manage? In classical ABAP you first do a sorting to bring all this in a straight line and based on customer, and then you use loop at itab, and then as a control statement at new. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this at new. This is something which is there since many years in ABAP. I mean the year 2001 when I learned ABAP, actually that was the time, which since then it is there. And here you see every time a new company code comes up, you just keep adding this value, and then finally we use at last. Before you leave that, you just print the total, and the clear the total field, end loop. Now the disadvantage of this control break statements to calculate the total in this case is, the first disadvantage is there's too many lines of code. Yeah, there's too many lines of code. First disadvantage. Second disadvantage, within this add new control break and add last control break statement, all the fields which are left to the field in interest will become star, will become null. So if by any chance your amount field in the left side of the customer field, it becomes zero within this add new, within this add class. So you can't calculate total, just in case your structural fields are not arranged properly. Then you have to again create another table where the structure is correct, and then move the data, and then create a loop at itab to calculate this total. A very dirty approach. And then you got to loop again and again. It's very expensive to calculate the total in such cases, such scenarios, right? So a lot of these difficulties are there. You can still do the calculation the way I told you with these control break statements in classical ABAP, but that is not efficient. SAP thought that a lot of you developers are using actually very often this kind of grouping, where you want to group the result, and there is no sorting. There is, every time you have to also do sorting, because add new will every time encounter every consecutive records. It's just looping over them. So you have to first sort the data, make sure that data is in sorted form for all the customers to come together, and then only you can do this kind of operations. So these are all the disadvantages. Now SAP introduced a new syntax to actually do this grouping without even sorting the data, without even touching this data set. You can still do the grouping, and that's what I'm going to show you now, how exactly it's going to work in the system. Let me just quickly take an example here. Just insert a table. For simplicity, I'm just keeping two tables here, two columns in the table, and let's put here the company. Please mute your line. I request you to kindly mute your line. And I say IBM. I need to take you out of the session. Please mute your line. I request you to please mute your line. And then we have, let's say, this record, and maybe we have again IBM. Yeah. So now what is happening is, I need to now calculate the total of wherever IBM is, and then wherever Tapla is. This is what I want to do. To do this, what you can do is, you can do a grouping. You can do a loop add grouping, and that loop add grouping is very helpful for us. All right, it's very supportive. So we can quickly go ahead and do a loop add grouping. And what it does, it's so special that it starts a loop add group. Okay, it starts a loop add group. So I'm just going to go back here, and what it does is, you will write a syntax called loop add internal table name, your whatever itab is, into work area. Yeah, into work area, you are saying please loop an internal table in my work area. This is natural, this is what we always do, but now we had a special addition here called group by. While you're looping, please create a new group. Okay, so you will say group by, and now in this group by, you have to pass the field name based on which you want to group. So which is the field name? It's the company name, right? So I will say, in my work area, I just specified my work area hyphen field name as my company. Please group my data based on this company. And when it is grouping, it will create so many tiny tables based on these groups, without even, you can apply this even without sorting the data. It creates a small group of data together into, and that into you can pass it into a new internal table. You can declare, let's say, itab g, itab group, and now end loop. Now this outer loop will run for every time, only for one group at a time. So this outer loop, this guy will run for one group at a time. So suppose it has now two unique customers, IBM and Tapla. So this outer loop will run only two times. All right. The outer loop will now not run all the 6 times or 7 times. It will run only two times, one per each group. Yeah, one per each group. And within this, now you can say you want to loop at group. Which group? It's there in this table into new inline declaration WAG work area group. And now inside this here, it's basically gonna do a loop on only the first group in first time and second group on second time. So now in this you will see this I tab G is actually in the first loop pass, outer loop pass, it will loop over all the IBM records wherever they are, and then you can actually calculate a total here in this total of this and this, and then outside this loop here you can print the group name and the total which you have calculated inside the smaller group loop. So that will print the loop, that will print the total of IBM. And after that next loop pass, it will start a loop on the second group of data is tapla. It will understand it automatically, it will group the data automatically. You don't have to specify that I want to group tapla. So now it starts another loop, and this time it loops on the second group of data based on the company, because you already specified that I want to group based on company. So according to the system, the second group becomes the company. It starts, and now in this it will loop over the tapla records, and then you calculate the total, and then you print the group name and total, and then you clear the total value, of course, because next group has to come and it has to calculate for the total. That is the way you will print the total of IBM and total of tapla. In this case, in this example, if there are 500 more different customers, similarly it will print a loop and print, create the groups at runtime, and it will get you the data. This is much easier. And guess what, the data need not be sorted. The data did not lose the control. You don't have to worry about complicated control break statements, and this is very effective at runtime because system is not looping the records again and again. Awesome. Let's see it in action. All right. Okay, it will not cause any performance. See, we are not looping on the each data multiple time, we are looping each record once at a time. Now don't think this as a loop at itab and with a loop at itab. No, it's a loop at itab with a group. So this will never cause a performance issue. Actually, it is better as compared to the one with the control break statement, because control break statement has to break the loop, go out, do some processing, come back, and then again resume the loop. Okay, and within the control break statement you also don't have access to site breaks and stuff like that. So it's a very dangerous one, but this one is much easier to use. Watch out now in action. Let me go back and use this here. So what I want to do is I want to print the total. Yeah, I want to print the total. So I'm going to come down to final result where we were showing the total. Okay, we were showing it all here. So I'm going to create another table, not a problem. So let me create another table which is just containing the company name, so begin of ty group, company, type c length 10, then I have amount, total value, type info, group पे type, and let's create tt group. Awesome. And now what I'm going to do is I will just create a table. And now watch out in action. So in this tab group, I will be storing the final results of the grouped values. All right, that's what we'll be storing. So this is to store the final result, not to group, not to loop over the group. So loop over the group, we already will do it with the runtime work area declarations. We will do that in a second. Now I'm going to go back and also print this grouped data. So let me comment out all these guys, control 7. And here we will pass our tab group. Awesome. And now I will create the group. So let's learn method group grouper. I'll name it grouper, method name and method. And let's declare this method grouper. Where do you do? Okay, I'll call the grouper also. I'll declare the grouper also. It's a grouper method, and we are calling the grouper method here to group the data, and we are printing the group data now. The table is already filled. Okay, table is already filled, and now what I'll do is I'll just come down and show you the writing grouper. Okay, one second. There is one method which I've removed, kind of. Just we need to make sure it's kept properly. Yeah. All right, let's come down now to the grouper. This is our grouper, and let's start the loop. So we will start with the loop on our tab sales. So let's loop at tab sales, yeah, into data work area sales. Yeah, this is what you usually do in ABAP. That's what a very simple step you do. But now I want to do grouping. Grouping on based on what? What is the base on which system should group the data? I will say the field name based on which I want to group the data is from this work area, group by work area company. Please group the result in the based on company. So where should I store the grouped data? Okay, what is the name of the group? So every time a new company new company name, I'm so sorry, it's a customer, new customer comes, a new group gets created, and this group you can traverse, you can loop over this group easily. Remember, at this point system will start automatically a group creation based on the records you have in the internal table, and your records do not need to be in sorted form. So group by this into, declare another table, lt grouped table. So it is basically it's not a table, guys, it's a group name. Actually, it's a reference of the group. Okay, it's a reference of the group. It's not actually a table, but just giving it for simplicity and your understanding as a table. Now in this, now you can loop at this group table into inline data declaration ls group. Okay, that's what you do. So you have lt group. Now you cannot do a loop at this. It's not an internal table, as I mentioned, it's a group. So you have to loop at group. You cannot loop at internal table. So you have to say loop at group name. That's the catch here. Are you all with me till here? So it's actually not creating a table, it's creating a group. You are looping at this group now. So within this loop, it is guaranteed now that let's say if there are 5 different unique customer, this outer loop will run for 5 times. And for each customer, if you have, let's say, 3 records, this inner loop will run 5 into 3 times. So this is the actual loop which is happening inside. The outer loop will run only 5 times. Inner loop will run based on number of records which are unique for that particular customer. It will run that way. And now we can calculate a total. So let me declare a variable, say grouped total. For one group, it will calculate total at a time. And I'll say grouped total equals to plus equals to my this particular group's amount. So this statement is equivalent to writing group total equal to group total plus amount. So this is how it will calculate. And now at the end, after coming out the group loop, we can print the group name. We can print this group name lt grouped, that the group name, and then comma this total amount we can print. Awesome. Just put, oh, you can't do a write statement, I'm so sorry, really sorry, can't do that. It's ABAP on cloud, so we have to prepare our table. So we have to just say ls grouped data. We've created one table, right? Ls group, sorry, we have created one table, tab something, right? Tab group, which is storing the final data of group. It's tab group and work area group. Just come down, work area group, company name is equals to your group name. This is your group name, and then group hyphen total amount for this particular group is this guy. And you can also use a new syntax here, actually very easy, you all remember that. I simply can do append create by slash association name from, and now you can also pass the internal table for association, create by association. Similarly, you can do update by association, delete by association. So all of that it's possible. You can also do create by association. You can also use association, update by association, yeah, delete by association. You can also do that. Now, once this is completed, let's say you fired a create on entity to create 20 records or 50 records. Now, when the creation happens, at that point of time, a result is produced. So you will say result. So in this case, whether a create, read, update is happening, a result is produced in this ET result table. Here you will get to know what was the creation happened. For example, when you're creating, let's say, booking, or when you're creating travel request, you are not maybe passing, you are not passing the travel ID, maybe you're not passing travel ID, then the travel ID will be generated by the system automatically. So that result you will get it here. You can read the travel ID after it is generated in this result tab. Okay, now that only works in case of late numbering, but we are not doing a late numbering for the time being. We will be using we will be passing the travel ID ourselves. Later on I'll show you late numbering, so system will generate the number for us automatically. Then once this is complete, the result tab is going to come. Now it may be possible that it may fail, the operation may fail, so all the failed keys will be stored in another table, failed. Now, during the failure, why it failed? That failed response will come in the response table. Okay. So if there is something failing, that will come in the response table. Response is also called as reported actually. So it'll come in reported, and whatever worked out well, that will come in the mapped. Okay. So this is the syntax for creating a new business object instance. Remember, instance. It is going to create an instance, update an instance, and delete the instance. You remember the concept of transaction buffer? It's only working currently the RESTful ABAP in the instance level, working, playing out with the object. It's not, the changes are not yet transferred to the database. Okay, they're only working on the instance at this point of time. Where is that gone? Where we discussed about the transaction buffer. So anytime you build anything, you will always have a transaction buffer, and then you have finally the save sequence. Yeah, transaction buffer and save sequence. Okay, I don't know where did I miss it. Okay, so it is actually working on an instance. The system will not persist these changes in databases yet. When you're creating, updating, deleting, all of these operations will be immediately applied on the instance. Now, if you want to persist these changes in the database, there's another syntax you have to use. So syntax of EMR. The statement which we use is to persist the changes in the system, and that's called commit entities. Just have to say commit entities will actually persist the changes in the database from transaction buffer. Okay, so this is what sends the changes to the database. Now it does not mean that it is guaranteed that the changes will be saved. Okay, so any modify operation that are executed within behavior pool or by ABAP program are not causing any database change because they are applied on transaction buffer. And this buffer content will disappear when ABAP session ends. So if we want the changes to be passed to save sequence and persisted, we will use the commit entities statement. So in the commit entity statement, there are three methods called in sequence. First is called finalize. So this is all internally happening within the RESTful programming. So in the framework, it will call the finalize method. At this point of time, it will finalize the final data set which needs to be updated in database. It then calls the check before save method. Now in this, the checks will be done on consistency of the data. For example, if the data dates formats are correct, currency formats are correct, all the checks will take place. Then finally it does adjust numbers method call. This is all internal framework methods. We can also write a hook methods on top of it. We will also be doing that. And finally save is done. So if this method is passed through, if this framework will pass through this method, it is guaranteed that the changes will be persisted in the database. So this is the second statement which we use in EML. So first one was this one: modify entities, entity name, create from, update from, delete from internal tables, create by association, update by association, change by association, whatever, result, failed, reported, and mapped. So this is the entire syntax. This is syntax number 1 to perform create, update, delete. Syntax number 2 to commit. And now coming syntax number 3 to read data using EML. How do you read the data? If you wish to read based on keys, of course you will pass the keys to read the data. That's a third syntax, how to read the data. So all the operations that do not need to change the data of an entity are carried out by read data. There are two types of read. First is called read entity by key, and second is called read access to child entity, basically association, by parent key. In our case, if you really look at the example, we have this as the root entity, parent entity, and then we have childs. So we can also read these child entity keys easily by the help of the parent. So parent to child relationship we can use to read the data of child. Now read statement always returns a result. But in case of create, update, delete, it's possible that you can skip the release result statement, because maybe just you want to make sure that if there's no error, of course it's persisted. But in case of read, it always bound to return the result. You have to capture the result, and you must specify target variable where you store the result which it is returning. Whatever target variable you want to give, let's say et underscore result or whatever. Then we can also read the associated entity data using by backslash association name syntax. Okay, we can use like this from RT table. This is the syntax we can use to read the associated keys also. Okay, we'll see that, don't worry. When the time comes, I'll show you all of this in the system. Now the result of this will come associated data will come in another internal table called link table name. There's this in the syntax, we have something called link table name. In this it will come. Okay, it will always contain the key value pair. Let's go and write the read syntax, full-fledged read syntax I'm writing here, which we can use to read the data, and I will show you then in the system practically in action, the VO which we created yesterday. We'll see all of this in action. So read entities of root entity name, entity, and then we have to use the entity alias from your, based on read condition, you can pass an internal table of read condition, what key based on which you want to read. Yeah, result, then you can pass here it result, et result. Exporting table result will come. It's always mandatory to receive result. By, you can use association name from it read by association table. Don't worry, I'm just showing syntax first. We'll go to the system and then learn it. Result et result read by association, link et link keys. What is the keys which is linking the association? You can also further expand it to read another entity and entity alias. So you can read the complete tree, all the data from all the entities in one go using this syntax. Keep specifying your entities and their corresponding keys. And so on. Okay, finally it will also may produce a fail. Suppose you passed a key, primary key value which is not there in the system, so system will produce failed. And what is the reason of failure? It will tell you in reported. The error message will come here in this reported collection. So these are all the returns. So either result will come or failure will come. If failure comes, then reported will contain the error message what went wrong. Yeah, so failure will just tell what failed, but reported will tell you why it failed. So both of these are coming always together. So that's the syntax. Now let's go to the system and build it. So if you remember our BO, once again let me go back. The BO which we created was this managed travel. You see, this was the business object we created the other day, and this contains now your entities, travel M, booking M, and booking supplement M. So how many entities do we have in total in this BO? How many entities we have in total in this BO? Anyone? How many entities we have? We have total 3 entities. This entire thing is a business object. And now you see, for each of this entity, the behavior definition, we can specify an alias. See here, to make easily remember these entities, this alias we can give. So let me give an alias. For this one, I'll give alias as travel. For this one, I will give as booking. And for this one, I'll give booking supplement. This is the alias name I was talking in the syntax. If you go back to syntax, you see there was this entity alias thing. Yeah, in the syntax, this is the entity alias thing. Are you all with me till here? Step by step, line by line will do. Don't worry, this is so easy to understand EML. You will love this concept, how you are working with business object. The person who understands how to work with business object of RESTful program, that person becomes a champion in RESTful programming. And entity manipulation language is a very, very powerful syntax in ABAP programming now to work with these BOs of RESTful ABAP. So now I'll build a simple ABAP class to play out with this our BO and test them. So maybe first I'll just show you quickly how many records we have in the table. So let's open this database table. We will be creating now record in this table using RESTful programming, using EML syntax. So just search this table. So let's see how many records do we have in this table. I'm just going to run this. This is the database table for business. Just try one more time. Username is also correct only. Why it's not hitting debugger? Apply and close. Let's give a try. Okay, guys, now it's hitting the debugger. You can see it has come to my debugging. Awesome. We can now check this. So, wow. Now let's press F6 and you see it has completed that statement. Let's see IT data create what it has got. We have got 2 records. Yeah. See travel ID 2. All this data is coming. Then this one, all the data is coming. I press F6 again. It comes to data failed. It has executed that. Okay, it has executed this modify entity EML statement. And now we will see what is the value we have got in LT data failed. So we have got here LT data failed. And you see we have got one record with a percentage failure, cause unspecific. So here you don't get any information. You see LT data failed will just tell you what failed, but doesn't tell you anything. So you will go to report it. Just check the LT reported. In the LT reported, now you will get to know why it failed. So you see LT reported, the travel has failed. Why it has failed? You see a percentage message, and in the message, if you come down, you will see somewhere the message why did it failed. So in this message, you see this is the problem, CSP entity check 007. So this is the class, message class, and the message number is 007. So you get that information in reported actually. So let's open that message class and go to message 007. An instance with the same key already exists, it is saying. Okay, which means there is already an object with same travel key already existing, so it's not allowing me to create again, which means maybe when I've executed first without the breakpoint, it would have created the record, maybe. Yeah, we can just go ahead and check that. So let me just continue this, not a problem, and I can go back and just check my database table, travel M table, and see the content. And oops, no, travel ID 001, there's no record here, it's not showing me. So it's saying entity with same key already exists. Why it is giving that error? Travel ID we are passing 2. Travel ID is actually 8 characters, so let me just try passing exact key 2. Three, and try to activate again. It should work, guys. It should work. It is bound to work. It has to work. Let me press F9. F6. F6. Do we got 4 failed this time? Yes, we still got failed here, one record. Okay. Why it is not working? It's not creating my record. Maybe there is a problem in the data mismatch. Let me just cross check why it is failing. Just give me a moment. We have forgot to pass the control structure, which will tell the framework that which data we have actually changed. that we forgot to pass to control structure. So I will just go back to ABAP perspective and now also include here percentage control, and I'll say that what are all the things which has changed. Yeah, and now in this control structure you have to tell the system that everything is changed. All right, you have to tell the framework that yes, there was a change with everything has changed. All right, so that's what we have to do. We have to go back, and now you see we are going to add this percentage control structure with value hash. Okay, with value hash, and we have to say what are all the properties which is supposed to be changed, which we are passing to the system. So this control structure is quite critical. Without the control structure being passed, system will probably not know what is the value we would willing to change or willing to pass to the system. And the value of this can be passed with the IEF ABAP behavior interface, which gives you a flag to pass it that yes, indicating that this value has been changed. So we have to go IEF ABAP behave interface equals to mk flag, and we have to say on. So this on indicating that there is a change in agency ID which needs to be recorded in the system. So let's do that for every property. I'm just going to do that for every property, and I will say travel ID also changed, customer ID also changed, then begin date also changed, end date also changed, booking fee needs to be changed, total amount needs to be changed, currency code needs to be changed, overall status needs to be changed, description needs to be changed. So all this we need to indicate in a change structure that there are changes to these fields which needs to be recorded in the database, and that's what you have to pass. Maybe right now just try passing one record. We'll probably see passing another record later. So now I'm passing with the travel ID 2, agency ID and all that stuff. Let's save this, activate. Now give one more try. Hopefully it should work fine. F9, and it hits the breakpoint. Superb. Let's clear the console also, just to not get confused. F6, F6, and now will we see F6? Yes, it did not go inside failed, guys, now because we passed the control structure. And I press F8. No problem. Let's go back to the database table records. And now see it in action. I just refresh. Oops, my record is not getting persisted, guys. Why? Though there was no failed key, still my record is not getting persisted in the table using EML. Why? You forgot to do a commit. You remember? We have not triggered the save sequence. It will trigger only when you do commit entities. That's the problem. Exactly. Let's go back and add. If nothing failed in the else part, or in fact, if nothing fails, it comes here. We say commit entities. Awesome. Just activate this once again. There is no need of debugging because we already checked it. Don't need to debug anymore. And we can just say F9. It's running. Okay. Nothing came as an error in the console. We can go back to the travel table, refresh. Voila, there you go. You can see with the help of BO without firing any insert command on the database table, by populating our instance of the BO using the entity manipulation language, making use of RESTful ABAP framework, we were able to insert the data in the corresponding database table. Awesome, guys. This is phenomenal. This is a breakthrough. This is a breakthrough, guys. You can see you have inserted the record. You see, voila, is coming here indicating this is the same record which you got injected. Now I want to change description from voila to fantastic. For that, I will go back. Now I'll take over the control. So we'll go back and let's create a flag over here. I just go and create a flag over here. Type of operation. And I'll say if it is create operation, update operation or delete operation, I want to show you all of them. So what I'll do is I'll go back and just put a case statement here in ABAP. When it's a create operation, do whatever you are doing here. Is it switch statement in ABAP to create a case? What is it called? Just say case variable. Okay, it's just case variable name. Okay, what's my variable name? It's LV type. If I'm doing a case variable LV type, if I want to do a create, please do repeat this below code. Okay, case, when it is C, then please do this and case. When it is update operation, I want to write a code for update. When it is delete operation, I want to write code for delete. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Let's come here, move it little ahead. Why it's not working? Case when value. Okay, I forgot a dot here. So that's your code, guys, with the case statement. And now you see system will do it nicely without any problem. If it is create operation, it's going to do create. If it is delete, it's going to do delete, otherwise update. So let's write quickly the delete and update. So I want to change now our value for description of my newly inserted record 2. I want to do that. Just come down. And now I will declare another internal table, data IT instance update, type table of table for update. My entity name is again this one. And then we will just say again modify entity syntax. Entities, my root entity name, entity travel, the alias name of which entity I want to modify. And I will say the syntax, as per the syntax, you will say update from IT instance U. From this, please update. If something is failing, just bring it into my internal table LT field. If something is a problem, report it. The error message should come in LT reported. That's your modify statement for updating the data. Why it's giving an error? Dynamic behavior is not valid in the restricted language scope. Modify entities, entity name, name, update from this LT update. Okay, modify entities of, I'm so sorry, syntax error. And okay, these are already declared, guys. LT field key and reported key are already declared above in the inline declaration of create. You see LT data failed and LT data reported are already declared. So you can just use them. Now, if something fails as usual, we are going to print that. So if something is failing, please print that. Otherwise, anyway, gonna do and commit. Awesome. Now, of course, you have to prepare the structure what you want to update. So this is your instance update structure. I'm just going to fill this internal table like just now we filled it. So we will just say this equals to value hash. Only one record I'm filling. And in this, I have to pass travel ID mandatorily because based on this key only system will identify that it has to update the data. So we just pass our key. Yeah. And then we will pass description, new description which I want to update. So what is the new description? Fantastic. For. All right, and now I will also pass the control structure which indicates the framework that what things needs to be changed, needs to be updated. So percentage control equals to value hash, and now inside this I will pass that description needs to be changed. The description needs to be changed. ABAP behave. All right. So I'm telling the framework in the update operation for this particular travel ID, this value needs to be changed. Similarly, let's also do the delete immediately. I'm gonna copy this code, pass it here. Don't need to now change anything. It's deleting. So just remove these guys. Just pass the travel ID. That's sufficient enough for deletion purpose. And I said delete from this instance table. Just create it with the name D to be deleted. Yeah. And of course, the commit entity is being called later point of time. Type for delete. Yeah. Awesome. Let's perform all the create, read, update, delete operation. I'm going to go back on the top. Now I'm going to do an update. Let me activate our class and I will run the class F9. No error comes. I can go back to the travel data. Last time the value was voila. Let's do a refresh. Fantastic. For out there you can see guys, it has updated the data using EML. I want to do a delete. I go back to the class, change this operation to delete operation, activate this. And now what I'll do is go back and just do F9. Sorry, we have to first run the class F9. I go back to the database table and a refresh. This record should get deleted now. Refresh. It's not getting deleted. There's a problem. Okay, we need to change delete table where we are passing. I think I didn't change it. Yes, you're right. Thank you so much. I think I forgot. Oh, I changed it already. See, delete from this guy. Travel ID. I think we are missing the key property. We have to pass key property here. Percentage key. That's what we have to pass. We should not pass the. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's here. It's here. Here we have to change it. We can also pass the key or we can pass travel ID. Both makes the same meaning. Hopefully, let's try and test it. So I'm going to activate and run it again. F9. Everything worked well. I can go back and now refresh. Boom, you can see the record is gone. Superb, guys. Are you all clear how to work with entity manipulation language using ABAP RESTful programming? So this is where you can test your complete BO using EML. Very interesting. Trust me, there is no tutorial which is teaching this today. There is no tutorial on entire internet, entire web, nowhere on any blog which is teaching this today. It's all comes by beating our own crap day and night. Day and night. And all these things I do try constantly myself to get you this best knowledge for you guys. Entity manipulation language, performing operations directly on the business object using EML with the RESTful ABAP programming. So all what we learned here, the syntax plus EML, they will be combined together and then we will go ahead and start writing our behaviors, our behavior implementations going forward. But now one more thing is left over, read. What about read? We want to do read also. So after create, I want to immediately read. All right. So we are creating and then after that I want to read. So let me just say first create, just create a new record, execute, just quickly create it guys. So a record comes. I just do F9. Okay, we have breakpoints actually in this. We can create multiple records also, of course. And now let's see if record is created. Yes, we got the record back. Voila. And now I can go back and I want to do a read. So let me show you read. I do a read and write a read condition. So case where read. So all the create, read, update, delete operations, I'm showing it to you. And here we will declare the entity relationship again. So I will say read entities this time. Our entity name is ZATS Travel M. I want to read this entity. Travel. You can do control space. It shows you also the code completion. Result. And I'll declare a LT result. So it will get you all the objects actually. Okay. Get you all the objects. Entity travel from, and I can directly pass this value hash. I don't need to create that. I can say travel ID. Just pass it and you get the data directly over here. Found records. And then you can print these found records. So if LT found records is not initial, and if, and we want to print this on the UI out, and pass this data here, all the found records to be displayed in the console. Let me activate. So you're passing the key here and press F9, and voila, you can see it's displaying the record on the console which it has read. But you see, when it's reading, it's just reading the travel ID. It's not reading agency ID, customer ID, begin date, end date, booking fee, total price, nothing it is reading. Why do you think it's not reading anything? Anybody? Why it's reading just the record, empty record, not reading all the fields of my column? Why it's not reading all the other fields of my database table? Why is it not reading it? Anyone? Control structure, guys. Control structure. This is so important. This controls the whole framework. This decides what you want to read from the database. You cannot, it won't read all the 3000 fields which are there in the table by default. You have to pass that control structure. So percentage control, I want to just read the price. Okay, percentage control, just maybe write it in more intuitive way so you can understand it better. So that's my percentage control. And I will say I want to read maybe the price and description. Yeah, so maybe I want to read price. Percentage control structure. Yeah, price. It's booking fee. Please read this value. And I want to read also description. Okay, so let's read description. Let's read booking fees. And let's also read the currency code. Three properties I want to read. So when it is firing a select statement behind the scene by the framework, system will only read these three columns from the database table. So you don't have to worry about select queries, insert, update, delete. You give command to the EML, and EML will take care of optimized way of reading this data from SAP HANA. You don't have to worry about it. It does automatic code to data paradigm for you. You don't have to worry about learning any ABAP or HANA concepts. EML will take care of everything with RESTful ABAP automatically to get you an optimized results from the database. F9, And now you see the second record. Observe carefully. You got currency code and you've also got your description. Voila. Awesome, guys. Are you clear how to use entity manipulation language in ABAP RESTful programming? Is that clear to everyone? How to work with entity manipulation language in ABAP RESTful programming? Is this clear, everyone? How to do entity manipulation language in ABAP RESTful programming? Yeah, superb. Any questions before we close today's class? I'll share both of these code with you. You guys can try it out in the system and see if yourself you are able to insert, update, delete the data using EML. In next subsequent classes, we will go ahead and then write implementation. Now you're ready, your basics, your foundations are ready. You can officially go ahead and write different varieties of implementation using RESTful ABAP, and we will be building our end-to-end scenario for the approver as well as the processor. Next weekend there is no session. I'm on vacation, so there is no session next weekend. Our next to next session is planned on 28th. So 21st and 22nd there is no class. We are officially over 50% of this course now. We have completed more than 50% of this course now. And in next subsequent 4 session, 28, 29, 4th and 5th of January is when we will be implementing both the approver and the BO scenario. After that, we'll learn ABAP Git. We will talk about how to integrate your RAP services with ABAP system, S4HANA system, how to pull the data from S4HANA system using RAP, and how to push the data using S4HANA system into the RAP. So we'll see both the bidirectional scenarios if possible. If I have a productive instance, then I can just try it out and I'll show it to you. We'll also talk about the RAP queries. Yeah, so this is the way we will be completing. It will take another minimum 6 to 7 more classes to complete this course. Any questions before we close today's class? Any questions on EML? Such a powerful concept, guys. Without EML, you will not be able to learn the RESTful programming. This is the RESTful programming now. This is RESTful programming, what we did today here. This is RESTful programming in combination with Core ABAP, in combination with the concepts which we learned earlier. Questions?
I have a question. You mentioned that for managed scenario, we don't need to do any implementation and the behavioral framework will take care of itself.
Yes.
Then why are we using
Okay.
technique to insert data and update data?
Good question.
I mean
Good question. Let me show you the answer by showing you an application which I built. So guys, to showcase you the things, I have to also work very hard to bring you things live in action. So in order to understand the context, I'll just launch this application which I already built it. Just let me launch this application here, which I already built it. You guys can also run this. It's there in another package just beneath the current package. It's called ZATSM package. Just go to ZATSM package, and in this you can go and run this application under this service. I'll just quickly run that. So yes, framework will take care of implementation. You are absolutely correct. Framework will take care of create, read, update and delete. You are absolutely correct. So this is the application. Why it's not showing me create option? Did I run a different one? I think I run the flight one. I'm so sorry. I should run the travel one, the one which is having our entities. Yeah, this guy I should run. So sorry, just run that one. Now watch out. So when I run this, you see this is the app. Now you see this create button. I click on create button. It takes me to create a screen of travel. I enter a travel ID, let's say 3. Agency ID is 70004. Customer ID is 5. Travel date is today's date. End date is 29th. Booking fee is 50 US dollars. Status is open. Description is by Fiori app killer. And I'll say save. Now this behind the scene insert code is written by the framework. It's managed by the framework. And now you see this booking table. Remember, somebody was asking me this example, Anubhav, can we do parent-child relationship with the sales order header and items? This is the example. We are building exactly this one. I say create, and now it takes me to booking creation. I just pass booking number 1, booking date as 16th, customer ID is again, let's say 3. Airline ID, which airline I would like to book, American Airlines. Flight number 0017. It populates the flight date automatically, flight price automatically. Status is new, save. And that creates a line item inside this here. So now you got travel and its bookings. If you go inside the bookings, you have further booking supplements, which is further drill down. Perfect. Now, watch out carefully, guys, what we want to do. If I go and edit the booking price, if I go and edit the booking price, don't you think if I add multiple booking or booking price, the total amount should automatically change? This total price should change automatically when I add a new booking. This total is the travel total. It depends on the subtotal of the bookings, isn't it? And the subtotals of the supplements which user is taking. So you go from Mumbai to Kolkata and come back to from Kolkata to Mumbai. During this entire travel, you have spent on cabs, you've spent on drinks, you've spent on food, you spent on flights, you spent on hotel. The total travel cost is sum up of all the individual cost which you spent. Now watch out. If I go inside, I edit and I make this, let's say 470, and I save. Yeah, just see, I change the booking level price. I go back and now I just go back again, go, and I just click on third record. You see the total price automatically updated to 470. Again, I create another record here with another booking, and this time let's say it's another booking for returning back from Kolkata to Mumbai with American Airlines, and it gives me a very nice help. And now you see the price is automatically loaded, 3,823. Status is new, and I say save. Now I have got two bookings in my travel, 470 and 3823, correct? What should happen to the total price? Watch out, just go back, refresh this, just simply refresh, come inside, look at here. Look at here, what happened? It total up this and this, isn't it? Don't you think this is phenomenal? This and this, can this be done by framework? Framework don't understand this logic. This is your business logic. This is your business logic. And to implement this business logic, you have to add determinations to existing BO. So framework will take care of basic create, read, update, and delete. But framework will not take care of such business logic where you need to calculate the total price of the travel based on the sub travel bookings added to the travel. Is that clear, everybody? Why we need to learn all this? If you want to just create a simple crude application to create, read, update, delete, fine. Use many scenario, you are end with the course. There is no need for further learning. But if you want to go deeper and do more enhancements to your business logic, for example, this is one example I'm taking. Of course, there may be many examples. Suppose every time I create, I don't want to pass travel ID. The travel ID should get generated automatically with the maximum travel number. This should become read-only field. That's called determination. Suppose I pass agency ID which is incorrect. System should respond to that. It should give a proper error message, validation. How do you achieve that? You want to calculate things, update validation. You want to do runtime changes to the business object which is currently being treated by the framework. How do you do all these things without coding? You got to tell these things to the framework. They are not out of the box. You got to tell it. And that's where this learning which we did in last 2 days will help you to play with the object at runtime and also the new ABAP syntax together. Combiningly a killer application, we will be able to build it with all these types of determinations, feature control, dynamic feature control. I'll also show you one more interesting feature which I've implemented. I select a record and you see this create travel by template. What it does, based on selected record, it automatically creates a new travel request based on this. It will make a copy of this current one. It will make a copy as it is. How do you think framework will handle it automatically? Framework don't know what do you mean by create travel by template. It's your action, custom action. I click on it and voila, you see a new booking number is granted automatically, booking number 4. It has made it read only, and it has automatically created a duplicate copy of existing travel request. See, create travel by template. Do you think framework understand this automatically? Do you think your framework can do this type of custom logic which you want to implement for your applications? Are you getting the idea why we learning all this? Yes, I told you framework will manage, but what will framework will manage? It only manage basic create, read, update and delete. It cannot manage extra functionality like create by template, calculate the total price at the booking level based on each of the booking, calculating aggregation of all the bookings and supplements. You can also add more supplements, and that also constitutes to the total price of the travel calculation. All this is your custom logic. Feature controls, dynamic feature control, static feature control. We have then the relationship, the calculations, the determinations, the validations, custom validations. Price of a booking cannot exceed 20,000 euros. How do you implement such a business logic which is needed in your real-time application? How do you implement all that stuff? You got to get into coding for that. Yes, framework is giving you basic create, read, update and delete, but rest all what your business needs from you. You got to understand RESTful ABAP programming model. You got to understand entity manipulation language. You got to understand the behavior implementation. You have to hook in your own functionality within it with the standard behavior, and then make a full-fledged Fury application with RESTful ABAP in ABAP on cloud. Are you all clear where we are heading towards? This is the processor BO application which I've already created. Then there is an approver BO application also we have to create, where there will be approve and reject button. And guess what? If a request is already been approved, the approve button should become disabled. How will you do that? Dynamic feature control. We will be learning all of these things in coming days. You will be bombarded and mesmerized with the concept of RESTful ABAP. I have already completed my learning in this package. You can go ahead and check it. I've implemented everything already in this. Maybe you not understand it, but over a period of time, you will understand every single bit of it. You can see it here. Okay. So the time is yet to come. There's a lot to come. If you want to do it early, you can just check my package, ZATSM package. All right. Does that answer your question? Long answer, but I'm really sorry. I got to give the long answer to make you understand end to end.
Yes, it does answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking that question. That's a fantastic question you asked. That gives a clear picture to everybody where we are heading towards.
Hello, Anubhav. I have
Yes,
one
Ashok.
question.
Yes, please.
Suppose, say, we want to call a web API in the cloud from an on-premise system. So, will RESTful
Possible.
ABAP programming be useful here?
Yes, you can create. So in cloud now, if you have a ABAP on cloud, so here you cannot create a OData service. You have to create this RESTful API only using RESTful ABAP framework, and that API can be called from ABAP system. It's possible. For that, we have to create a G-type destination in cloud in on-premise system, and you can store the data in cloud. It's possible. We will look at one use case of that sort in our classes. Don't worry, it's part of your course. So complete integration also we will learn, S4 to cloud and cloud to S4. It's part of your course. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. So I think from the day one, the class one, which we had about ABAP on cloud, there are a lot of clarities by now to many of you where we are heading towards. There are all these concepts are absolutely new concepts, and very few consultants in the market knows about these concepts. By learning these things, you can position yourself in a very strategic position in your company, and you can claim that, yes, I know RESTful ABAP and I'm working on RESTful ABAP, because everybody just talk. They don't know. And 100% sure, many conferences and TechEd lectures also have seen on TechEd live, but no one talks about this EML which I've shown it today. No one teaches you EML, and this all happens because I have implemented successfully one end-to-end RESTful project in my company already. That's why I know these concepts, and that's why this knowledge is out of the box available to all of you. with my learnings. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you up next weekend. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas to be very frank, and I'll catch you up after the Christmas on 28th. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day and goodbye.